Hi friends, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this e-learning program that is organized by Shree Gyanmanjari Vidyapith. Welcome to the session of science. Friends, as in animal tissues, we are always starting with the basic classification of animal tissues so that you can learn the content well. More number of times the repetition will be done, more number of less problem you will face in learning the content. So here is the chart of the various types of animal tissues. You are already knowing that animal tissue is of how many types? Basic 4 types. Alright. Animal tissue is of basic 4 types. Which are those 4 types of animal tissues? As shown over here, they are epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. The basic 4 types of animal tissues. Which are those 4 basic types? Epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. What are the 4 basic types of animal tissues? Epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. What we started with? We started with nervous tissue. Okay, try to recall. After that we did the muscular tissue, that is striated, non-striated, cardiac. Then connective. Connective is of basically 5 types. Okay, we will try to learn these 5 types first. It is this areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Once again, which are the how many types of connective tissues are there? 5 types. Which are those? Areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Which are the 5 types of animal tissues in that connective tissue? 5 types of connective tissues are areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Once again, it is areolar, adipose, skeletal, fluid and dense regular. Areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Areolar, dense regular, adipose, skeletal and fluid. Dense regular is of 2 types. Which are those 2 types? Tendon and ligament. Skeletal, cartilage and bone. Fluid, blood and lymph. So among the 5, 2 are easy ones, that is areolar and adipose, while the remaining 3 are having little bit of content. Alright. Now we will see the video of it, the animal tissues. Okay, we ready? Here it is.
Animal tissues. Almost all animals are made up of tissues. Tissues are groups of cells that are similar in structure and work together to achieve a particular function. Animal tissues are grouped into 4 basic types: epithelial, nervous, muscle and connective tissues. Let's first look at the epithelial tissue. This tissue covers and protects the internal and external surfaces of the animal body. Epithelial tissue is subdivided into simple squamous, stratified squamous, columnar and cuboidal epithelium based on the shape and function of their cells. The simple squamous epithelium is found in the lining of the alveoli and allows transport of small molecules across the membrane. It is extremely thin, flat and single layered. The stratified squamous epithelium protects areas subject to abrasion and is found in the skin. It is multi-layered. Columnar epithelium acts as an impermeable barrier against any bacteria that could be ingested but is permeable to any necessary ions. It is tall and shaped like a column. Cuboidal epithelium aids in absorption and provides mechanical support. It forms the lining of kidney tubules. It is shaped like a cube. The next tissue type is nervous tissue, which consists of a nerve cell or neuron that has a cell body containing the nucleus. The cell body extends and forms specialized cell parts called dendrites and axons. These are nerve cells that help you retract your hand when you touch a thorn. How does this happen? Nerve cells carry messages. That is, the dendrites bring signals to the cell body and the axon transmits the information to the dendrite of another cell. These nerve impulses allow us to move our muscles when we want to, thus retracting our hand. The brain, spinal cord and nerves are all composed of nervous tissue. The third tissue type is the muscle tissues that are responsible for the movement in our body. The three types of muscle tissues are skeletal, smooth and cardiac. The skeletal muscle helps in locomotion and other voluntary body movements. It is made of long fibers with alternate light and dark bands or striations, so skeletal muscles are also called striated muscles. Smooth muscle cells provide involuntary movements such as the contraction of walls. They line the walls of the hollow structures of the body. Smooth muscle cells are found in the intestines and blood vessels. They are spindle-shaped, flat, pointed at both the ends and broad at the middle. The cardiac or heart muscles are involuntary muscle cells that contract and relax throughout life. They are cylindrical, branched, and uninucleated. The final tissue we look at is the connective tissue that binds and supports body parts and transport materials. Connective tissues are subdivided into blood, bone, ligament, cartilage, areolar, and adipose tissue. The blood contains RBC, WBC, and platelets that transport gases and other materials to different parts of the body. Blood has a fluid matrix. Bone cells secrete calcium that hardens the bone and supports the main organs of the body. Bone cells are solid. Ligaments function as a connection between bones. They are fibrous and stretchy. Cartilage protects bones by preventing them from rubbing against each other. It is a tough but flexible tissue. Areolar fills the space inside the organs. It is gel-like with both elastic and non-elastic fibers. Adipose tissues store fat molecules. In conclusion, we have seen and understood the types of animal tissues, their subclassifications and their functions. Things to remember: animal tissues are grouped into epithelial, nervous, muscle and connective tissues. Epithelial tissues are subdivided into simple squamous, stratified squamous, columnar and cuboidal epithelium. The three types of muscle tissues are skeletal, smooth and cardiac muscles. Cells of the nervous system, called nerve cells, are specialized to carry stimulus from one place to another within the body.
So that was about the whole of the animal tissue. And now we are going to study about the connective tissue. All right, what is the meaning of the word connective? Connecting means what? Joining. All right, so here it is the connective tissue. What does it help? It helps in binding, joining and packaging. It is the most abundant tissue. The tissue that is found in maximum proportion in the body. It is which tissue? Connective tissue. Alright. And what is its matrix made up of? Matrix means it's fluid. It is made up of carbohydrates and proteins. Once again, some of the important points about the connective tissue. As the name suggests, what does it help in? It helps in connecting most abundant tissue. And what is its matrix made up of? Carbohydrates and proteins. Once again, what are we talking about? We are talking about the connective tissues. What are the basic important points about it? In the first slide, we are having just 3 points. That is, it is helping in binding, joining, and packaging. Then, it is the most abundant tissue. After that, what is its matrix made up of? Carbohydrates and proteins. Then next, what is its classification? You saw its classification into 5 types. But that 5 types are coming from basic 3 types. That is this: proper, fluid, and skeletal. In proper, the matrix is soft. That means the fluid is soft. What is included over here? Areolar, adipose, and dense regular, the very first 3 ones. Then fluid, you are knowing, in fluid the matrix is liquid as it is. Skeletal means the matrix skeletal. So the matrix will be solid. Matrix means the ground thing you already know we have done in cell. That what is the meaning of the word matrix? Okay, so tissues is classified into basic 3 types. First one is proper connective tissue, fluid connective tissue, skeletal tissue. In skeletal you are having bones and cartilage, fluid is blood and lymph. This is proper. Proper is areolar, adipose, and dense regular. Even dense regular is further divided as tendon and ligament. So this is about its classification. Before we move on the very first type of connective tissue, I want you all to note down the content that is given over here. Okay, quick. You have just 30 seconds to note it down. Note down the content quickly. Some important points regarding the connective tissue. Once again, which are those important points? Helps in packaging, binding. Then it is the most abundant tissue. And what is the matrix made up of? It is made up of proteins and carbohydrates. Next is 3 types of connective tissue: proper connective tissue, fluid connective tissue, and skeletal. In proper you are having areolar, adipose, or dense, while in fluid you are having blood and lymph. Skeletal has bone and cartilage. Note it quickly. I hope you have noted. Now let's move further. The very first type of tissue that we are going to do is this areolar tissue. Some important points regarding the areolar tissue. કોઈ બી બે ટિશ્યુ હોય એની વચ્ચે જ્યાં બી જગ્યા હોય ત્યાં જે ટિશ્યુ ગોઠવાઈ જાય that is areolar tissue. What is areolar tissue? ક્યાં બી બે ટિશ્યુ હોય એ બે ટિશ્યુની વચ્ચે જ્યાં બી જગ્યા હોય ત્યાં અગર કોઈ ટિશ્યુ ગોઠવાઈ જતું હોય then it is this Mr. Areolar. Okay, so we are talking about which type of tissues? Animal tissues. And in animal tissue we are talking about a special type of tissue, that is connective tissue, which is of how many types? 5 types. And among these 5 types I'm talking about the first connective tissue, areolar tissue. Wherever there is empty space, it will just help in binding. Its matrix, that means its floor, what it is made up of? This many things. White collagen fibers, you can see this collagen, these are called as collagen fibers. Then yellow fibers, then fibroblast, which is you can see over here. What is fibroblast? This fibroblast, they are generally helping in making the fibers. You all are knowing that whenever we want to connect any two things, we need some kind of connections, and that connection is in the terms of wires. But just imagine inside your body, like everything is in the form of wires only connected, but there is no electric conductions, and so we call it as fiber and not wire. So areolar tissue, દો ટિશ્યુ બે ટિશ્યુની વચ્ચે જ્યાં બી જગ્યા હોય ત્યાં આ ટિશ્યુ ગોઠવાઈ જાય છે. That means it is settling itself at the place where there is no place, and it will try to connect and bind because it is a type of connective tissue. Then what is its matrix made up of? Remember, because on the matrix basis also we are having the basic classification: yellow fibers, white fibers, fibroblast, macrophage. You can see over here, this is a macrophage, and it is helping in destroying any kind of organism. So these are the points about the areolar tissue. There is some more content, but before we do the more content, kindly note down this content. After that we'll move further. Please note it fast. Be quick and note it. So that we can move further. Okay, now areolar tissue. Some more points are over here. Its basic functions are to join the skin to the muscles. Then it connects blood vessels and nerves and repairs the mechanical damage or stress, whatever it is there. Okay, so these are its functions. It will join skin to muscles, connect the blood vessels and nerves, and repairs the mechanical damage or stress. Once again, it will join skin to muscles, connect the blood vessels to nerves, repairs the mechanical damage. These are its functions. Once again, the functions of areolar tissue: join skin to muscles, connecting blood vessels and nerves, repairs the mechanical damage or stress. Once again, we are repeating it so that you learn it. Joins the skin to the muscles, connects the blood vessels to the nerves, and repairs the mechanical damage or stress. Alright. Once again, some important points about the areolar tissue. its basic function is wherever there is place between two particular tissues, at that place it will just settle down itself. And what does its matrix contains? Its matrix contains white collagen fibers, yellow fibers, fibroblast, and macrophage. Then areolar tissue. It will join skin to muscles, connect blood vessels and nerves, and repair the mechanical damage or stress. Note down the last 3 points. After that, we'll see the adipose tissue. Be quick. I hope you have noted all the points. Then adipose tissue. Adipose tissue. It is the tissue which is storing fat. Beneath the skin, where it is found, it is found beneath the skin, then around the heart, and so only it is stated that if you are eating more oily food, then it will affect your heart. Why? Because which tissue is there beside the heart? It is adipose tissue. What it will do? It will store fat around the heart, near the kidney, and in the cushion around the eyes. Now, this is a new term for you. Rest you might have heard. What is the meaning of the word cushion? Just imagine that someone hits you. No, not you. Let's stay positive. Someone is hitting some other person on the eye. Then aankh suj jati hai, like you might be knowing, no? So that is what is cushion around the eyes. So like that, whenever it is happening, the adipose tissue is found. It is a shock absorbing tissue, and it is also helpful in, as these are its functions. It is acting as an insulation against extremely cold situations. Okay, so whenever there are more cold situations, at that time this tissue is helping. Where it is found? In the blubber in whales and hemp in the camels. Now, what is the blubber in the whales? So, the basic whales, the outer layer over here of any whale this just below the skin there is some layer. The thick layer, whenever you are seeing the whale, you might have seen the outer thick layer, that is the blubber. And hemp, it is at the top of the camel, at the neck, like this is called as the hemp in the camel. So, what are we talking about? Adipose tissue. What it will do? It will store fat. Where it is found? Beneath the skin, near the kidney, near the heart, and also at the cushion near the eyes. What is its basic function? These are its basic functions. It will absorb shock, helps as an insulation. Then, where it is found? In the blubber in whales, that is one of the example which is easy to understand, and in the hemp in the camels. Okay, so this is about the adipose tissue. Note it down, then we'll move further. Be quick. Quickly note it, and soon we are moving further. Now, let's move on the next type of tissues, which is skeletal tissue. You are knowing that skeletal tissue is of two types. Okay, one is bone, another one is cartilage. First, we will understand the bone. All right. Just imagine over here. This is the bone matrix. Okay, and try to observe this particular diagram. The explanation of this diagram is in our next slide. Okay, you can see over here the Haversian canal. This, alright, and these are in the form of concentric rings. The rings over here. Okay, so this kind of arrangement is there. Before understanding this, some of the important points about the bone. You are knowing that how is the bone? It is one of the strong part and moreover non-flexible. You are having the bone over here. Okay. Is it possible for us this part to bend this? No. Is it possible for us to bend this part? Like from here, can I? Here is there is one bone. Can I just like bend this part? No. So bone, it is strong, rigid and the non-flexible part. Then what are its cells called as? Its cells are called as osteocytes. You have to remember this word. More number of learning is coming, so you have to be careful. What are the bone cells called as? Osteocytes. It is the hardest cell in the body. And what its matrix is made up of? Its matrix is made up of collagen fibers and inorganic salts. Once again, very important points regarding the bone. Strong, rigid and non-flexible. What are its cells called as? Osteocytes. What are the bone cells called as? Osteocytes. What are the bone cells called as? Osteocytes. What are the bone cells called as? Osteocytes. What is bone? It is a type of skeletal tissue. How many types of skeletal tissues are there? Two. Bone and cartilage. What are we talking about? Bone. It is the strong, non-flexible tissue and very rigid tissue. Moreover, next, what are its cells called as? Osteocytes. What is its matrix made up of? Collagen fibers and inorganic salts. It is the hardest cell which is found in the body. And which is the hardest cell found in the body? It is this, osteocytes. Let's move further on the next part of this skeletal tissue. There we are going to study about this particular diagram. You can see the matrix of osteocytes. They occur in the form of concentric rings over here. These are the concentric rings around the Haversian canal. Okay. While some bones they contain red bone marrow to form RBC. You might be knowing about the red bone marrow, right? You also might have studied or also might have heard about them in many movies. And even the last movie of Ritik, there was a talk about this, that is the red bone marrow. The transplantation of red bone marrow was done. So red bone marrow, its basic function is to form the red blood cells. So some bones, they contain red bone marrow to form RBCs. Matrix and osteocytes, they occur in this concentric rings around the Haversian canal. And what are the bones made up of? Calcium and phosphorus. So these are the important points regarding the bone. Once again, whole of the bone we will see. Very first part, it is strong, rigid and non-flexible. Moreover, what are its cell called as? Osteocytes. It is the hardest cell in the body. Next, what is its matrix made up of? Its matrix is made up of collagen fibers and inorganic salts. Then the next particular part is over here about the bone, that is its matrix and osteocytes. They are arranged in the form of concentric rings around the Haversian canal over here. And some bones, they contain red bone marrow. What is the function of red bone marrow? To help in the formation of red blood cells. And what are bones made up of? Bones are made up of calcium and phosphorus. So note down the very important points regarding the skeletal tissues. Okay, then we'll move further on the next type of skeletal tissue, which is cartilage. Quickly noted. Next important points regarding the skeletal tissues. Quickly note, then we'll move on cartilage. Be quick. Now, cartilage. This is hard but flexible. Like you can see over here, here we are having cartilage. So, these tissues are flexible. And what are the cells called as? Chondrocytes. What are the cells of bones called as? Bone cells are called as osteocytes. Cartilage cells are called as chondrocytes. They have no blood vessels or nerves. And it occurs at the respiratory duct, in air, that is at the pinna, and at the end of the nose over here. So these are the places where the skeletal tissue cartilage is found, and these are its functions. Once again, some important points regarding the cartilage. Hard blood flexible, what are its cells called as? Chondrocytes. Bone cells are called as osteocytes. It has no blood cells or nerves. Where does it occur? At the respiratory duct in the ear, pinnae, over here, and at the end of the nose. Note down after that we will see the difference between the skeletal tissue, two types, that is bone and cartilage. Quick. Now let's move further. The bone and cartilage, these are hard while non-flexible. Bone is porous, cartilage is non-porous. In bone, the blood vessels are present while here they are absent. What is the matrix made up of? Protein and mineral salts, while here it is only made up of proteins. Okay, so this is the difference between the bone and cartilage. Okay, I hope you are clear with the content of skeletal connective tissue. Okay, now we'll have a look at the video of the types of connective tissue. We are not completing the total content over here, but definitely we will see the further part in the next lecture. Here is a small video of it.
2. Connective tissue. Group of tissues in the body that maintains the form of the body and its organs and provides cohesion and internal support. The connective tissue includes several types of fibrous tissues that vary only in their density and cellularity, as well as more specialized and recognizable variants. Connective tissues can be divided into three types. 1. Loose connective tissue. 2. Dense connective tissue. 3. Specialized connective tissue. 1. Loose connective tissue. Loosely arranged cells and fibers in a semi-fluid substance is distributed all over the body and support tissues and organs from strain and displacement. Example, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Areolar tissue. It is present beneath the skin, serves as a support framework for epithelium. It contains fibroblasts, macrophages and mast cells. Adipose tissue. It is located mainly beneath the skin. Cells of this tissue are specialized to store fat. The excess of nutrients converted into fats and having large storing capacity in this tissue. 2. Dense connective tissue. In this tissue, collagen fibers appears abundantly in the form of bundles and are placed regularly or irregularly between the cells. It is again divided into two types. A. Dense regular connective tissue. The collagen fibers are present in rows between many parallel bundles of fibers. Example, tendons. White collagen fibers connect muscle to bone. Ligaments. Yellow elastic fibers connect bone to bone, two bones. B. Dense irregular connective tissue. It has fibroblasts and many fibers, mostly collagen, present in the skin. 3. Specialized connective tissue. Cartilage, bones, and blood are various types of specialized connective tissues. A. Cartilage. The cartilage is made up of cells, chondrocytes. The study of cartilage is chondrology. The cartilage is divided into 4 types based on the composition of intercellular matrix. They are hyaline, elastic, fibrous, and calcified. B. Bones. Bone is a hard skeletal tissue. Study of bone tissue is called osteology. Bone is composed of cells, fibers, and matrix. The matrix is collagenous calcified, hard and constituted by minerals and salts such as calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. Bones contain matrix, ossein, and osteocytes are present in the spaces called lacuna. Limb bones, such as the long bones of the legs, serve weight-bearing functions. Also interact with skeletal muscles to bring out movements. The bones take up the functions such as 1. Support to the body. 2. Production of erythrocytes and white blood cells from the red bone marrow. 3. Protecting vital parts such as heart and brain. 4. Giving shape to the organism. 5. Storage of fat in yellow bone marrow with the advancement of age.
So that is about the connective tissue. Now let's have a quick look at whatever part we did today. Then we'll wind up. A quick review on whatever part we have done today. We started with this, that is the basic classification, and in our today's session we have done about the connective tissue. Not totally. Animal tissue, 4 types: epithelial, muscular, connective, and the nervous. Connective tissue, it is of 5 types. Basic 3 types, but the remaining one is it is like this: areolar, dense regular, which is of 2 types, tendon and ligament; adipose, skeletal, which is cartilage and bone. Cartilage, the 3 are given over here also, but it is not there in our book. Then fluid, it is containing the blood and the lymph. Next we talked about the basic video of animal tissue. Connective tissue, what does it help in? It helps in binding, joining and packaging. It is the most abundant cell and its matrix is made up of carbohydrates and proteins. Then some basic classification we saw, 3 types: proper, fluid and skeletal. Proper, it is areolar, adipose or dense regular. Fluid, is blood and lymph, and skeletal means blood, bone and cartilage. Here the matrix is soft, liquid and solid. Then the further classification, in that the very first one is of proper connective tissue, which is this areolar tissues. Wherever there is place, this tissues will get settled out on their cells. And what does its matrix contains? Its matrix contains over here macrophage that will destroy the microorganisms, fibroblast, which you can see, which is generating the fibers, and there are fibers, yellow fibers, white fibers. Okay, Next, about some functions of areolar tissue. It will join skin to the muscles, connect the blood cells to the nerves, and it will help in repairing the mechanical damage. Then next, important points regarding the adipose tissue. It will store fat. It is found beneath the skin around the heart and the kidney and as the cushion around the eyes. It is the shock absorbing tissue. Moreover, it is an insulation against the extremely cold situation. Example, the blubber in whales and hemp in the camels. Bone. These are the strong and the non-flexible types of skeletal tissues. What is bone cells called as? Osteocytes. These are the hardest cells in the body. And what is the matrix made up of? It is made up of collagen fibers and inorganic salts. Then, matrix and osteocytes, they occur in the form of concentric rings around the Haversian canal. Some bones, they are forming the red bone marrow to form the RBCs. And what is the bone made up of? Calcium and phosphorus. Then about the cartilage. It is hard and flexible. What are its cells called as? Chondrocytes. And it has blood vessels or nerves and occurs at the respiratory duct and the pinnae at the end of the nose. Okay, this is about the difference of it. The difference between the bone and cartilage. Hard and flexible. This one is soft, flexible and not very hard. Bone is porous. This is non-porous. Here blood vessels are present. Here blood vessels are not present. What is its matrix? Made up of protein and salts. Here it is only made up of proteins. Okay. So, that is all about the content of the day. I hope you've understood all the content very well, and thank you so much for listening to me. Have a very good day, all of you. That's all. Bye bye.